He's been a longtime believer in tariffs, and he's going to use them much more aggressively than he did in the first term. And I think what we're going to see is how steadfast he and his team will be if some of these potential side effects that you mentioned start coming true.
Yeah, because, the nation just came through an inflationary period and he got elected because of that. So is there an appetite here in the U.S. among the people who vote to take on some more economic pain to reach his goals?
Well, one thing to remember, as best we can tell from our reporting, these tariffs are to set it and forget it. They are an opening bid in what he imagines will be extensive negotiations with many of these individual countries, in which he is using the tariffs as leverage to get something he wants. And so this isn't a 1 day or 1 month story. This is something that's going to be preoccupying the news over the next year, 2 years, maybe all the years of his term. These are sticks, and President Trump wants to use them to get things in return from other countries who he thinks have been taking unfair advantage of the United States.
John, on another topic, we have to talk about Democratic U.S. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey and that marathon Senate speech that he gave, talking for more than 25 hours on the floor, criticizing the president and the Republican Party. What did you make of all that, and what do you think is the significance of the takeaway from that?
Well, it made history. It did eclipse Strom Thurmond's record. I have to say, Senator Booker's bladder, at least in my book, makes history. That is really impressive to keep going for more than 24 hours. I think the big point is that Senator Booker, of course, is an ambitious person, ran for president once. It didn't go far, but it is one of the big figures in the Democratic Party at the moment. He wants to say to Democrats, look, I'm out there fighting. The same message that AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders had with their tour last week or a couple of weeks ago, drawing the big crowds at rallies. There's a widespread sense, we see it in the polls, that average Democrats think the party's not fighting back, and then individual leaders are really trying to rush to the front saying, maybe most of the party isn't fighting, but I am.
We're 3.5 years away from a presidential election. Is Cory Booker the Democratic frontrunner now?
Oh, I think that would be folly to make that kind of prediction. And I would say we may be 3.5 years from the election, but already politics big time underway with of course, the Wisconsin results. But the off-year elections, including here in Virginia, where I live, those are going to be big indicators to the question you raised earlier. What is the political effect of this very bold trade agenda for that matter, the DOGE agenda that President Trump's been pushing? So we've got a lot of politics before we get to the 2028 election.
Hopefully we all won't get too tired there, John. Thanks for your time this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
That is John Harris, founding editor and global editor-in-chief of Politico.
WTOP's traffic and weather together. I'm Dave Dildine in the traffic center.
Around the peak of a Wednesday commute, the volume delays on the freeways in D.C. and through the suburbs, about as long as they're going to get today. But the list of major incidents is about as short as it's been all day. So that's the trade-off. The work zones at the Chain Bridge and in Old Town on Henry Street are both clear finally. On Route 1 at Groveton Street, a crash backing up southbound traffic. And out of Falls Church toward Merrifield on Route 29, delays in police direction at a crash that happened at Hollywood Road. I think you're getting by through the nearby shopping center parking lot there, though. In Maryland on U.S. Route 50, the coast is clear between the Beltway and the Bay Bridge. Pepco can help your business save energy and money. Upgrade to energy-saving equipment. And get financial incentives up to 50% of project costs. Learn more at pepco.com/save more. Dave Dildine, WTOP Traffic.
Let's head over to the 7 News First Alert Weather Center. Meteorologist Mark Pena joins us now. Mark, we had a kind of gloomy day. It's cloudy all day. Looks like it's going to rain at any moment. Are we going to get rid of this and sunshine come back tomorrow?
Unfortunately not. No, the clouds are going to stick around, or at least win out over any chance for sun that we'll have over the next several days. And it's all thanks to a stalled front. And a stalled front is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be a front that just hangs out nearby. And whenever we get these cold fronts that come through, they at least have movement through them. They are always act as a focal point for showers and storms. So while this front is going to stick around and stay stalled nearby, that's going to act as a focal point for several days of isolated to scattered showers in our forecast. Now, thankfully, we're dry for the rest of tonight. The closest shower activity we have is still several hundred miles out to the west. So we're dry through tonight, and also mild. South winds have returned today. So while we're in the 50s now, we're pretty much going to stay here all night. And then by tomorrow, even with cloudy skies and a few showers in our forecast, we're back to the low 80s for your afternoon highs on Thursday. Now, Thursday will also come with a chance at a few strong storms as well. Very isolated in nature, but if you do get caught underneath one of those showers or storms that does turn strong, we could see some gusty winds and maybe even some small hail for your Thursday evening. And then for Friday, Saturday, and even into Sunday, cloudy skies, warm temperatures. Highs will be in the 70s to right around 80 degrees with hit and miss rain showers. Now, keep in mind, it's not going to rain every single hour of every single day. These are not going to be washout rain days. But again, clouds, showers will definitely win out over the sunshine. So just keep that rain gear handy. All this will finally go away after a cold front moves through the area Sunday night into Monday. That brings back the sunshine and seasonable temperatures as we head towards Monday of next week. Now, outside, your radar quiet for the most part. Temperatures very mild right now. We're sitting at 58 degrees downtown. It's 59 in Silver Spring and 60 degrees in Springfield, Virginia.
All right. We're brought to you by Len the Plumber Heating and Air. Trusted same-day service 7 days a week.
Well, stick around. We're going to get details of President Trump's new reciprocal tariff package that he says could transform the global trading system. It's 5:23.
Unlock the future of government with Microsoft. Imagine a world where technology drives efficiency, reduces costs, and enhances security. With Microsoft's cloud solutions, AI-driven automation, and advanced cybersecurity measures, we can help you modernize and elevate your operations. Empower your workforce with the skills to harness AI, cloud computing, and advanced analytics, ensuring alignment with mission objectives. Ready to transform? Contact us at govefficiency@microsoft.com. Let's build the future together.
Breaking news on WTOP.
CBS News special report. President Trump has announced higher tariffs than expected, including the long-threatened 25% tariffs on foreign-made cars.
Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries.
The U.S. will impose tariffs of 34% on Chinese goods, 32% on Taiwan, 26% on India, 24% on Japan, and 20% on the European Union. And there will be a 10% minimum baseline tariff on all other countries. Bankrate economic analyst Mark Hamrick says the tariffs could send the American economy in the wrong direction.
We do have to be prepared for the possibilities of prices rising. That means that inflation remains very much still alive. And that will have dampened economic growth in the United States.
CBS News special report. I'm Christopher Cruz.
We'll have more reaction and analysis all through the day here on WTOP. 5:24. New safety improvements are coming to Reagan National Airport. The FAA is increasing support for air traffic controllers following that mid-air collision in January between an American Airlines jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter.
They seem to have some real problems at Reagan National Airport. Back in January, 67 people died. Then on top of that, they had a close call last week between a Delta Airlines jet and an Air Force jet that was participating in a flyover at nearby Arlington National Cemetery. A lot of questions about why they didn't pause traffic at Reagan while that flyby went through. And then they had a controller supervisor get into a fight in the control tower, so much so that airport police arrested the controller supervisor. Things are not going well in that tower.
That's NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello, who covers aviation. The FAA says it will also evaluate the hourly arrival rates at Reagan National, citing an increase in plane arrivals during the last 30 minutes of every hour.
Sports at 25 and 55, brought to you by Amentum, advanced engineering and technology solutions for tomorrow.
Ben is joining us now with the latest on the Caps and Ovi.
Yeah, 8 games to go for the Capitals. This is crunch time now for Alex Ovechkin, 3 goals shy of tying Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record. 4 to pass him, and we've seen over the years when these milestones, these round numbers get closer, Ovechkin seems to turn it into another gear, so we'll see if that holds true as the quest continues tonight. Capitals in Carolina. Meanwhile, a potential trickle-down effect with the global tariffs policy hitting the sports world. Of the 32 franchises in the NHL, 7 are Canadian-based. They collect their revenue in Canadian dollars, but their expenses are largely in American dollars. As Commissioner Gary Bettman shared on CNBC.
The issue in that regard is all players, no matter which country they play in, get paid in U.S. dollars. So if the impact of the tariffs is to see the Canadian dollar drop relative to the U.S. dollars, it will make it more difficult and more painful.
As far as the league's overall bottom line, also north of the border, Nationals in Toronto, C.J. Abrams a solo homer, but the Nats continued to trail the Blue Jays 4-1 in the 8th inning on 1500 AM. Ben Raby, WTOP Sports.
Thank you, Ben. Up ahead on WTOP, more on the sweeping new tariffs announced by President Trump that could transform, that is, the global trading system. We'll have a special report, 526.
Hey, it's Dustin, and I'm here with DMV Weight Loss. As a client of DMV Weight Loss, why did you join the DMV Weight Loss program?
I got to the point where I was uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good about myself, and I wasn't feeling good physically. And I knew I needed to do something.
What was your goal with your weight loss?
My initial goal, my first goal, is 72 pounds, and I have lost 65 of that and 41 inches.
Were you able to meet that goal?
The plan itself, the health coaches that are always available to you, eating regular food. You're not eating something that you have to go buy something special. You're eating regular food, healthy food. And it's not difficult to stay on even if you need to go out to eat.
Do you recommend the DMV Weight Loss program?
Yes, I do. It's a healthy program. What you're eating is good for you, and the results are amazing.
Most clients can lose 20 to 40 pounds in 60 days. Call DMV Weight Loss now at 571-415-3610 or online at dmvweightloss.com. Results may vary.
Every day, American families face tough choices at the grocery store. With food prices at a 30-year high, we can't afford policies that drive costs even higher. If farmers lose essential crop protection tools like glyphosate, grocery bills could nearly double. The solution is simple. Keep farmers' tools, keep food affordable. Support policies that protect American agriculture. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose. Paid for by Bayer.
Oh, I know what you're thinking. Seafood at a diner? Must be frozen fish sticks, right? Clearly, you haven't been to Silver Diner. Here, we have standards. Silver Diner serves up fresh, never-frozen cod, scallops, and halal-certified salmon every single day. And with our weekday Blue Plate specials for lunch, you can enjoy top-quality seafood without stretching your budget. So yes, seafood at a diner, as long as it's Silver Diner. Fresh, delicious, and nothing like you were expecting. Silver Diner, the next generation diner.
528. Traffic and weather on this cloudy afternoon. Dave, how are things going out there?
Well, as we say, cloudy skies, steadier drives. It is slow and steady, lots of volume, but few major incidents. Route 1 from Alexandria to Hybla Valley on Henry Street. Delays are easing. The work crew finally out of our hair. They cleared themselves at Duke Street, reopened the left lane. Down at Groveton Street, the backup is because of a crash. 95 southbound, some slower ripples, Woodbridge past Dale City. On the main line, the lanes remain open. It was the distraction of a crash over in the express lanes on the shoulder. 66 westbound volume delays anywhere between the Beltway and Manassas, eastbound through Falls Church. Falls Church to Merrifield on Route 29, a crash in police direction at Hollywood Road. It's going to be slow in Maryland on 270 northbound, rolling out of Rockville into Gaithersburg. 95 at the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, Beltway to Beltway. Typical slowdowns. Route 50 is one route that's working out well, delay-free, from Cheverly and Bowie toward Annapolis and the Bay Bridge. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Need an oil change at Jiffy Lube? Get it done in 15 minutes or less. No appointment necessary. Visit JiffyLubeDC.com for a location near you. I'm Dave Dildine, WTOP Traffic.
Latest on your forecast now, 7 News First Alert meteorologist Steve Rudin.
As we move through the evening, a stray shower or two may dot radar, although many neighborhoods do stay totally dry. Temperatures will hold in the 50s. Overnight, cloudy skies, an isolated shower once again, mid-40s to lower 50s by early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's definitely going to be a warmer day, upper 70s to lower 80s. Wind gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. Returning dry during the morning, but by late afternoon and into the evening, could be looking at a few pop-up thunderstorms, and a few of them may be on the stronger side. Mostly cloudy with showers likely on Friday around 70 degrees. Morning showers on Saturday, lower 70s. By Sunday, we're back to around 80 with afternoon showers. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
Lots of clouds right now. We made it down to 55 in Rockville, still 57 in Ashburn, and we're brought to you by Top Nova Orthodontics. Avoid tooth extractions or surgery for your orthodontic treatment. Visit Dr. Abbasi at Top Nova Orthodontics.
It's 5:31.
You're listening to WTOP, Washington's news, traffic, and weather station.
WTOP News. Facts matter.
Good afternoon. I'm Ann Kramer.
And I'm Sean Anderson. Mike Chikaitis is our producer.
Breaking news on WTOP.
CBS News Special Report.
We are finally putting America first.
President Trump has announced new tariffs that threaten to upend the global economy. He says they're long overdue.
For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike.
These are reciprocal tariffs, but the White House insists he's being lenient.
We will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us.
The baseline for these taxes will be 10% on imports from all countries, even higher on dozens of nations that run trade surpluses with the U.S. On Capitol Hill, Democrats expressed concern about the impact on this country. Senator Chuck Schumer.
It is estimated that the average American family will pay more than $5,000 out of their pocket to pay for these tariffs.
CBS News Special Report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
Well, more now on reaction from Capitol Hill. The Senate today is considering legislation that would block tariffs that have been imposed against Canada, and congressional Democrats are stepping up criticism of tariffs as the president made his announcement. WTOP's Mitchell Miller today on the Hill.
President Trump has dubbed today Liberation Day. I'm asking myself, for whom?
Maryland Senator Angela Alsobrooks, who says tariffs will only hurt everyday Americans.
None of his policies, including these tariffs, anticipate any relief for hardworking and middle-class families.
But Republicans say they're getting rid of bloated government programs and are largely standing behind the president's tariff plans. Still, a few GOP senators have indicated they may join Democrats in voting for a bill sponsored by Virginia Senator Tim Kaine that would undo tariffs against Canada. The vote could be close, with Democrats needing 4 Republicans to join them in the effort to rescind tariffs on the U.S. ally. On Capitol Hill, Mitchell Miller, WTOP News.
5:33. What does America's global reputation look like right now? Allies are being hit with tariffs. Long-standing military partners have been angered, and after the Gmail and Signal Gates controversies, question is, where does the U.S. stand? WTOP national security correspondent J.J. Green joined us earlier.
A former defense secretary told WTOP, we're at one of the most critical times in U.S. history. Part of that is the slap that Vice President J.D. Vance delivered to NATO and Europe at the Munich Security Conference. There's the Trump-Zelensky blow-up on live TV in the Oval Office. Then the welcome of Russia back to the world stage by the U.S. And then the Signal Gmail controversy involving the national security team. Those are key indicators, according to a former top intelligence community director, that the U.S.'s adversaries are looking very carefully at and making decisions based on what they see. The most consequential piece, according to a retired 4-star general, is the dismantling of U.S. agencies like VOA and USAID. They're having a disastrous impact on the U.S.'s reputation, the general said, that may leave us out in the cold and possibly in the dark in the future if one of the U.S.'s allies sees a threat to the U.S. and chooses not to pick up the phone and warn U.S. officials.
It's WTOP national security correspondent J.J. Green.
An indictment has been unsealed today against an Anne Arundel County police officer who was accused in a deadly high-speed chase that took the life of a motorcyclist. You might remember this case from last August. The officer is accused of chasing the cyclist across 3 counties and then failing to help him when that motorcyclist slammed into a flatbed truck. Let's get the details and development now from WTOP's Kate Ryan.
It happened August 10th, and according to Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown, Anne Arundel County Police Officer Alexander Mason Rodriguez began a chase of a motorcyclist, 21-year-old Joshua Vanderzeel of Laurel.
The Officer Rodriguez in his police SUV chased Joshua's motorcycle across county lines, reaching speeds up to 100 miles per hour.
Brown said Rodriguez never notified his supervisors of the chase.
Instead, Officer Rodriguez chased Joshua until Joshua crashed his motorcycle into the back of a flatbed truck.
The Independent Investigations Division of the Attorney General's office says Rodriguez didn't stop, but made a U-turn and returned to work.
He left Joshua, who died in the dark.
Brown says Rodriguez faces 2 counts of manslaughter, 1 count related to the duty of a driver to remain on scene when there's a crash involving a death, and 5 counts of misconduct in office. Kate Ryan, WTOP News.
New developments in the attempt to pry TikTok away from its Chinese parent company. The New York Times reports Amazon has made a late bid to buy the massively popular app just 3 days before it faces a ban here in the U.S. Saturday is the deadline set by President Trump for TikTok to cut a deal with American interests. There's reportedly been a meeting today at the White House to figure out what might happen. Other big companies, including Oracle, are reported to be exploring some kind of ownership bid. Despite security concerns about the Chinese ownership, President Trump has said he wants to keep TikTok going in the U.S. TikTok has said often it's not for sale.
Well, up ahead now in Money News after traffic and weather.
A can't-miss site in Georgetown is getting redeveloped. I'm Jeff Claiborne.
It's 5:36.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzz warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Federal agencies spend $2 billion a year to operate their office buildings, even if they're empty. Stop the waste and get the most out of your office space with Archibus, the leading IWMS and FedRAMP in-process solution. With Archibus, you get real-time occupancy and asset data to better manage your buildings and control costs. Learn how to get more and better data faster. Visit archibus.com/radio. That's ARCHIBUS.com/radio.
It's the start of a new presidency, and the first 100 days set the tone for what's to come. Here's the first 100 days, presented by the American Petroleum Institute.
President Trump's focus on slashing the federal workforce has drawn considerable attention, but he's also getting international attention by not letting go of his interest in making Greenland part of the United States. That was made clear by Vice President J.D. Vance's recent trip to the country, which has a population close to that of McLean, Virginia. But the president says the country, which is a territory of Denmark, occupies an important strategic location.
If you look at Greenland right now, if you look at the waterways, you have Chinese and Russian ships all over the place. We're not relying on Denmark or anybody else to take care of that situation.
I'm Mitchell Miller.
America's energy future begins now. More American oil and natural gas means more jobs, more security, and more innovation. America's moment is now. Learn more at lightsonenergy.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
5:38. Traffic and weather on the 8th. We start with Dave Dildine in the traffic center.
At a Falls Church, part of Route 29 remains blocked. A pedestrian struck this afternoon at Hollywood Road. Investigation continues, and traffic in the direction of Merrifield is vectored off 29, sent through a parking lot. Leaving Seven Corners, some rerouting might be leading to the heavier traffic westbound on Arlington Boulevard. 50 is open. GW Parkway in rush hour mode through the long-term work zone at McLean and Arlington. 66 in the Beltway, we've got rush hour volume delays. 95 southbound, it's heavy much of the way from Newington into Woodbridge. In Maryland on 270 northbound, it's quite slow. Rockville through Gaithersburg and through Clarksburg, slow down near the lane drop. 95 in the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, Beltway to Beltway, nothing unusual. Route 50, a little heavy in Chevrolet, but good from New Carrollton toward the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Need an oil change? At Jiffy Lube, get it done in 15 minutes or less. No appointment necessary. Visit JiffyLubeDC.com for a location near you. I'm Dave Dildine, WTOP Traffic.
To 7 News First Alert meteorologist Steve Rudin.
A breezy afternoon and a mostly cloudy afternoon with temperatures anywhere from the upper 50s to lower 60s. A chance for a stray shower or two later this evening and into the overnight. Mostly cloudy and windy tomorrow. It's a much warmer day, upper 70s to lower 80s, even a bit on the humid side with wind gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. A little bit cooler on Friday, just around 70 with scattered showers. Near 70 on Saturday with clouds during the afternoon and showers likely late Sunday. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
Steve is at the PJ Fitzpatrick Home Improvement Weather Desk for your home's windows, siding, doors, and bath. TrustPJ.com. We have lots of clouds right now. Temperature-wise, 55 in Frederick, 56 at Metro Center.
WTOP's Money News, 10 and 40 past the hour. On to Jeff Claiborne.
Applications for a conventional mortgage rose 13% last week. Mortgage rates are now about a quarter point lower than they were last spring. U.S. factories are slowing. Output from U.S. factories in March fell for the first time this year. Factory employment fell the most in 7 months. A prime piece of Georgetown real estate is finally being redeveloped. A former gas station site across from the Four Seasons Hotel. The developer bought it more than 10 years ago, but finally broke ground this week on what will be luxury condos. Probably pricey. The penthouse will be 3,600 square feet. Wednesday trading on Wall Street. The Dow finished the day up 235 points. The S&P 500 up 38, better than 0.5% gains. The Nasdaq up 151 points. That was almost 1%. Jeff Claiborne, WTOP News.
All right, thanks, Jeff. It's 5:41 here on WTOP. Today's To Your Health Report is sponsored by Johns Hopkins Medicine Arlington. You may have experienced it soon after lunch, that dreaded afternoon slump. And WTOP's Neil Augenstein says some sleep experts are recommending a new over-the-counter solution.
It's been dubbed Nappuccino. You drink a cup of coffee right before taking a 20-minute nap.
And the idea is that when you wake up, you feel more refreshed because that caffeine then kicks in.
Keisha Sullivan's a sleep medicine physician with Kaiser Permanente. While you may be tempted to sleep longer, she says when you wake up from REM or dream sleep, you're often more groggy.
So we recommend sleeping for a short period of time to prevent any issues, when you get ready to go to bed.
If you could schedule a test or a task right after your Nappuccino,
the caffeine and the nap, you should be more alert and cognitive and refreshed.
Neil Augenstein, WTOP News.
Today's Federal Headlines Report is brought to you by WAEPA. See why more than 50,000 feds and their families choose WAEPA.
I'm Michelle Sandiford, and here are your top headlines from Federal News Network. The Department of Health and Human Services is laying off thousands of employees, in some cases, eliminating entire offices and programs.
HHS employees shared photos of staff waiting in long lines to get into their buildings Tuesday morning. Many employees targeted by a reduction in force learned their personal identity verification cards were deactivated when swiping into the building. Jory Heckman, Federal News Network.
All incentive bonuses paid to service members could be tax exempt under new legislation from Congressman Brian Mast. The bill would ensure that when a service member receives an enlistment and other type of bonuses, they would not have to pay federal taxes. For more on these stories, visit federalnewsnetwork.com.
Well, still ahead on WTOP, remembering actor Val Kilmer, the Top Gun and Batman Forever star, as well as the movie Doors. The Doors, he died at 65. We're going to look back at his life and legacy with USA Today national correspondent Marco Del Cava. It is 5:43.
Thank you for making Total Wine & More America's #1 online source for beer and wine. Better than all those delivery apps. Total Wine's prices are up to 30% lower with super fast delivery and no hidden fees. Order direct at TotalWine.com and pay less today.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Your family is your legacy. Planning for a natural disaster will make sure you're all safe. Visit ready.gov/plan today for the tools and tips you need to protect that legacy. That's ready.gov/plan. A message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Agencies need to maintain operations through a range of disruptions, from natural disasters to cyber attacks. Here's BlackBerry Ad Hoc's General Manager, Ramon Pinheiro.
Agencies are increasingly recognizing that the emergency preparedness space is multidimensional, and that overall landscape of operational continuity has shifted beyond traditional disaster response to a more holistic and adaptive approach.
To listen to the full discussion, go to federalnewsnetwork.com and search BlackBerry.
When seconds matter, there's no room for error. BlackBerry Ad Hoc is the trusted, reliable, critical event management platform specifically designed to keep federal organizations and people safe. Whether it's a natural disaster, cyber attack, or civil unrest, Ad Hoc delivers real-time intelligence, secure communication, rapid response tools, and accountability. Stay resilient, stay informed, stay prepared with BlackBerry Ad Hoc, the ultimate solution for critical situations. Learn more at blackberry.com/continuity. That's blackberry.com/continuity.
These days, the world isn't all fun and games, but there is a place on our website for that.
Go to WTOP.com, search top games, and enjoy free crossword puzzles, card games, Sudoku, and more.
WTOP News.
It's 5:45. I'm Sean Anderson.
I'm Ann Kramer. Thanks for joining us.
Val Kilmer. He was the Hollywood heartthrob of the 1980s and 1990s. He has died at the age of 65. Among his best-known roles, he played Iceman in Top Gun, the classic Tom Cruise film from 1986.
The Navy needs Maverick.
Of course, that was from Top Gun Maverick that came out just a year or so ago. Kilmer reprised his roles we mentioned in Top Gun Maverick in 2022. It was his last film. The magnetic actor also commanded the screen as Batman and Jim Morrison in The Doors.
Joining us live is USA Today national correspondent Marco Della Cava. Marco, good to have you on with us. I know you have this personal story about Val Kilmer that we want to get into with you, but let's talk about all these roles in this career. I mean, Iceman to Tombstone to then the Batman movie, and one of my favorites was Jim Morrison in The Doors. What do you think he will be most remembered for?
Well, it's great to be here and talk about this really amazing actor, and sort of had an amazing life and a troubled life at the same time. Unfortunately, I think he's going to be most remembered for Iceman. I think a role that it's fairly well known he did not want. The first one. But he just came out of nowhere with that role. My favorite performance is yours, The Doors. I mean, he, much like Timothy Chalamet doing Bob Dylan, he elected to sing all the songs. And Jim Morrison, like Bob Dylan, kind of has a very unique voice. And in my mind, he pulled that off brilliantly and morphed into Jim Morrison. So that's number one for me. I know other people like Heat and other movies, but it's got to be The Doors for me.
Now, he had a very intense acting style, didn't he?
Maybe no more intense than other peers, but he had an intense presence, that's for sure. I mean, and that was captured in the movies we're talking about, and certainly in that first Top Gun. I think he jumped off the screen because Tom Cruise is such a magnetic guy that if you're actually almost outdrawing Tom Cruise in intensity, you have something. And he definitely did.
Talk to us, if you will, Marco, about the treehouse and New Mexico in 2006. This is what you wrote about in USA Today. Talk to us about this. How did it come to be that you were able to cross paths with him and got to know him better there?
Yeah, it was very interesting. Back in 2006, I was at USA Today, and we were writing a story actually about a gentleman in New York City who had gotten into the business of making tree houses, but not, a couple of boards cobbled together, but really nice tree houses that were expensive, and therefore a lot of his clients were wealthy and some of them famous. So when we reached out to him, we said, hey, do you have any clients who might agree to us coming by and seeing their treehouse and talking to us? And he mentioned Val Kilmer, and we jumped on it. So I flew out to New Mexico. He had a 6,000-acre ranch east of Santa Fe. It was really in the middle of nowhere. And I went to the treehouse with the builder, and it was almost like waiting for Godot. I just kept waiting for Val Kilmer, and I literally thought he wasn't going to show up. But he did. He sort of drifted in shorts, and he was a little, a little heavy at the time, and he had just done a Western of sorts, and his hair was really short. And he was a very sort of mellow, almost enigmatic figure. He was not commanding. He was not, intense with me. He was almost like that Jim Morrison character. So try interviewing Jim Morrison, right? Very elusive. But he had some lovely things to say about this treehouse that he had built over the Pecos River. And really the most touching thing for me was he has two kids, and they were 14 and 11 at the time, and he's divorced from actress Joan Whaley. I think it's Whaley or Wally.
Wally, I believe, yeah.
Wally. And they were mostly with her in Los Angeles, and he was mostly on this big, big ranch. And so he told me that he was wishing that, if anything, that this treehouse would lure them back to the ranch. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how his son would be romping around on it as soon as it was finished. And I spotted an old Land Rover that was next to this area, and he had scribbled on the dash like little graffiti in honor of his kids. Mm-hmm. And it was almost a sad kind of thing where he desperately wanted this to be a more joyous place.
Marco, thank you so much for sharing. There's quite a great memory there. We appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
USA Today national correspondent Marco Della Cava.
Let's head over to the traffic center, check in with Dave.
It's normal, but the frustrating volume delays on the Beltway, outer loop Route 7 to Gallows, Springfield interchange to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Not as bad as yesterday there, but still time consuming. And on the inner loop from Route 7, stop and go toward the American Legion Bridge. Agonizing few years with all the construction there in McLean. We're more than halfway through it, though. Express lanes extension scheduled to open late this year. Leaving Falls Church toward Merrifield, part of Route 29 remains blocked for crash investigation at Hollywood Road. Brought to you by Live Nation. Don't miss Melissa Etheridge on her spring tour Saturday, April 12th at the Warner Theater. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Dave Dildine, WTOP Traffic.
7 News First Alert meteorologist Mark Pena. Let's find out how this weather is shaping up with all the cloud cover. Do we have some rain coming our way?
Yeah, we do actually, but not a washout by any means. But the cloudy skies, the hit and miss rain showers in the forecast for the next several days as a stalled front hangs out nearby all the way through about Sunday. So while we're not expecting rainy conditions every single hour of every single day through Sunday, you'll want to make sure you keep the rain gear handy just in case you do get caught underneath one of those hit and miss rain showers. Tomorrow evening, some of those hit and miss rain showers could pack quite a punch. We're tracking the threat for some strong to severe storms, but mainly isolated in nature between about 3 and 11 p.m. So keep that in mind, especially if you're north of I-66. We're warm, though. Warm and cloudy. 80s tomorrow, 70s for Friday and Saturday, and then back to the 80s on Sunday before a cold front finally sweeps all this weather away, giving us some sunshine and cooler temperatures to look forward to by next Monday. Outside right now, your radar quiet. Temperatures, they're mild now, but they'll get warmer overnight because of a warm front. 54 degrees right now downtown, 56 in Woodlawn, and 54 right now in Gaithersburg.
Thanks, Mark. Coming up on WTOP, President Trump hits U.S. trade partners with those sweeping tariffs. We're going to get details in a CBS News special report, 5:52.
Tired of carrying two phones? Are your mobile device and mobile application management solutions truly legal and secure? Concerned about security, compliance, and privacy? With Hypori, you can access DoD and CMMC unclassified networks securely from your personal device without compromising your privacy or enterprise security. One device, zero worries. Replace government devices at a fraction of the cost. Stay compliant and secure. Learn more at hypori.com/securework.
Looking for security? Whether your watchdog is a toy poodle or Great Dane, you know they'll probably be better at cuddling than keeping your home safe. For real security, count on durable materials and expert installation by Long Fence. And right now, all fences, decks, and pavers are 25% off. Terms and conditions apply. Go to longfence.com for a free estimate today.
There's a long time name for quality. Long Fence.
Breaking news on WTOP.
CBS News special report. President Trump calls it a declaration of economic independence. Others say it's the beginning of a crippling worldwide trade war. Trump announced a broad set of tariffs on America's biggest trading partners today. He says the tariffs will reinvigorate the American economy.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers.
But Bankrate economic analyst Mark Hamrick says it's going to take a while for companies to bring their manufacturing back to the U.S. if they do it at all.
Companies have to be very prudent and diligent about the money that they spend to build these massive plants. And that is not something that can happen with the flip of a switch.
So far, the markets don't like the tariffs at all. Stock futures are down sharply. CBS News special report. I'm Christopher Cruz.
We'll have more reaction and analysis all through the evening. New this afternoon, in an effort to comply with a recent court order demanding a half dozen federal agencies reinstate fire probationary workers, the IRS is now bringing those employees back to work later this month.
Nice that they...
Our partners at Federal News Network say the acting IRS Commissioner, Melanie Krause, made that announcement in a call today. She also sent an email to the roughly 7,000 probationary employees it recently fired. The agency is giving those workers the option to return to their jobs by April 14th, which is the day before the tax filing season deadline. The IRS had fired thousands of probationary employees in February, but federal judges in two separate rulings ordered the Departments of Veteran Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, and the Interior, along with Treasury, to rehire those workers. The Trump administration has appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Sports at 25 and 55. Powered by Maximus. Moving people and technology forward.
Ben is back. We're talking about men's basketball at Maryland and I guess the rebuilding that the coach has to do now.
A lot of work left to be done on campus. Look, they got one thing taken care of this week. They do have their new head coach in Buzz Williams, still in the market for a new athletic director, and now Buzz Williams has to get to work. He has to make out his roster. A lot of player turnover expected in College Park, but the Terrapins do have their new head man in Buzz Williams, the well-traveled Buzz Williams, 18 years of Division I head coaching experience, most notably at Texas A&M, Virginia Tech, and Marquette. Capitals getting set for their second game in as many nights. They visit the Carolina Hurricanes in just over an hour. Alex Ovechkin entering play 3 goals shy of tying Wayne Gretzky's all-time mark. Nationals swept in Toronto. Blue Jays take the series finale 4-2. Nats dropping a 1-5 on the year. C.J. Abrams a solo homer, game ending with a strike 'em out, throw 'em out double play. And the L.A. Dodgers, World Series champs, they might never lose a ball game again. Tonight they look to go 8-0 for the first time as a defending World Series champion. Ben Raby, WTOP Sports.
All right, thanks, Ben. Coming up on WTOP, President Trump unveils his tariff plan. We'll have reaction. 5:56.
Navy Federal Credit Union can help you dominate debt with a 0% intro APR on credit card balance transfers for 12 months. And right now, you could get $250 when you spend $2,500 using a Cash Rewards or Cash Rewards Plus card. Visit NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. After the intro rate expires, variable APRs are 15.15% to 18% based on credit worthiness. Rates are subject to change. ATM fees for cash advances are up to $1 at non-Navy Federal ATMs.
Craft the perfect catch at Giant. This week, salmon fillets are just $9.99 per pound. Asparagus bunches are just $2.49 per pound. And grab some Ben's Ready Rice, 2 for $5. And remember, when the blue signs go up, prices go down. From meat and produce to seafood and dairy and so much more, we've dropped prices on your favorites. Get fresh low prices online and in store at Giant. Giant, this is home.
This is WTOP News. WTOP FM Washington. WWWTFM Manassas. WTLP FM Braddock Heights, Frederick.
5:58. Back to the traffic center we go. Back to Dave.
Through the Maryland suburbs on the interstates, it is volume delays, no more, no less. It's going to be heavy northbound on 270 rolling into Gaithersburg, but delay-free on U.S. Route 50 between the Beltway and the Bay Bridge. In Virginia, on Route 29, moving from Falls Church toward Merrifield, traffic is sent off near Hollywood Road, I think sent through a parking lot to get around crash investigation. Unfortunately, a pedestrian was struck earlier on U.S. 29. Going toward Falls Church the other way, traffic does get by. Expect some heavier traffic on Route 50 Arlington Boulevard through West Falls Church with drivers rerouted. Traffic Center is presented by Window Nation. Today, buy 4 windows, get 4 free. Visit windownation.com. I'm Dave Dildine, WTOP Traffic.
Let's get your forecast now from Steve Rudin.
As we head through the evening and into the overnight, our skies will stay cloudy. We're looking at a chance for a stray shower, although most neighborhoods do stay dry. We're in the mid-40s to lower 50s come early tomorrow morning. Not going to stay there very long. A warm Thursday, upper 70s to lower 80s, and a chance for stronger storms tomorrow evening. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
Lots of clouds right now. Temperatures still holding. 56 in Herndon, 56 in Foggy Bottom.
WTOP at 5:59.
You're listening to WTOP, Washington's news, traffic, and weather station.
WTOP News. Facts matter.
Good evening. I'm Ann Kramer.
And I'm Sean Anderson. Coming up.
Well, the president says it could transform the global trading system.
The United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations.
President Trump rolls out the details of his sweeping new tariffs, including tariffs of at least 10% on basically all goods coming into the U.S.
How U.S. tariffs could affect not only the price of your car, but insuring it, too. I'm Kate Ryan.
Her job was cut by the government twice in recent weeks.
I'm coping it with a lot of rage.
I'm Mike Marilla.
Safety improvements, including more support for air traffic controllers, coming to Reagan National after that deadly plane crash back in January.
New buzz in College Park. Buzz Williams, that is. He's been introduced as the Terps' new head basketball coach.
It's 6 o'clock.
This is CBS
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump has unveiled sweeping tariffs on imports. Linda Kenyon begins our coverage from the White House.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
In a crowded Rose Garden packed with auto workers, steel workers, and farmers, President Trump made it official.
The day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed.
The president says the tariffs include a 10% minimum baseline, along with higher tariffs on several other countries, including 34% on imports from China and 25% from South Korea. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Colin Slaybach of New York University on what that will mean for American consumers.
This is essentially a consumption tax. The consumer is going to have to pay for this, and the person who's going to be hurt more is the one who's already got a strained budget.
President Trump said it will bring manufacturing back to the U.S., but economist Mark Hamrick of Bankrate says that will take time.
Companies have to be very prudent and diligent about the money that they spend to build these massive plants, and that is not something that can happen with the flip of a switch.
The reaction from overseas, close ally Australia calls the tariffs totally unwarranted. The UK says it's committed to reaching a deal. There is dangerous weather sweeping across the nation. It will last for days. Jim Krasula is tracking the storms.
Weather forecasters are warning of historic amounts of rain across the Mid-South and Ohio Valley into the weekend. Flood watches have been posted from Arkansas to Ohio. This man lives in Germantown, Tennessee, just east of Memphis. His area was badly flooded in 2019.
Every time it rains, all the neighbors do get antsy and they do kind of pray that it doesn't happen again.
More than 30 million people are under flood alerts across the Mid-South and lower Ohio Valley. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
In the Middle East, authorities in Gaza say a wave of Israeli airstrikes killed dozens of people. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says the pressure on Hamas will only increase. Linda Gradstein reports.
Netanyahu suggested that Israel would build a new security corridor in Gaza that would cut off the Palestinian city of Rafah in southern Gaza, where Israel has ordered residents to evacuate. The announcement came after Netanyahu's defense minister said Israel would seize large areas of Gaza and make them part of an Israeli security zone.
Israel ended the ceasefire last month and has cut off all food, fuel, and humanitarian aid. The tariffs announcement came after the closing bell on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrials finished the day 235 points higher. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
6:03 on WTOP on this Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Cloudy skies, and we're at 57 in D.C. Good evening. I'm Sean Anderson.
And I'm Ann Kramer. Our top story continues to be the big news out of the White House as the president started to give details on those new tariffs that he announced. He's putting in place a 10% baseline tax on imports from all countries, even higher tariff rates on dozens of nations that run trade surpluses, he says, with the U.S.
Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations.
Marks a dramatic shift in global trade and economic policy, and it could trigger broader trade wars.
Well, the president has promised that factory jobs will return to the U.S. as a result of the tariffs, but his policies risk a sudden economic slowdown as consumers and businesses could face sharp price hikes. More on that part of the story. WTOP's Kate Ryan.
When tariffs are imposed, industries affected tend to pass on their increased costs to you and me, the consumers. So car prices are expected to go up between 5 and 10%. But what does that have to do with your car or home insurance? Dave Snyder, vice president of the American Property Casualty Insurers Association, a trade group, spells it out. When you need insurance to cover repairs to your car,
whatever the percentage of tariffs is on that car or that part will likely be passed on by the manufacturers and the repairers.
And so your insurance, he said, could go up by as much as 14%. And it doesn't stop there.
The tariffs potentially on Canadian lumber or other construction materials would do the same thing, perhaps not as large, but would do the same thing for homeowners and insurance costs and losses.
Kate Ryan, WTOP News.
Well, now to the federal job cuts being carried out by the Trump administration. About 10,000 employees employees were told they were being laid off this week at the Department of Health and Human Services. WTOP's Mike Murillo has talked with one of those workers from the National Institutes of Health who says she finds herself in a uniquely unfortunate situation.
They've terminated me twice now.
This federal worker who wants to remain anonymous says
They decimated the Office of Communications.
the department in which she worked, she says as a probationary employee, she was first cut back in February. Then the court stepped in. Now she's been riffed.
This isn't a game. This is literally people's lives. There is not one part of my professional life that is not being destroyed by this.
She says her team did essential work for the American public.
It's their right to know what research is happening at NIH.
And now with the cut of her team and many others at HHS, she says
That loss is going to be dangerous and it's going to be detrimental. And it's unfortunately going to cause suffering and, in many cases, death.
Mike Murillo, WTOP News.
An update now on the thousands of federal probationary employees who were recently fired from the Internal Revenue Service. The IRS says it's bringing back some of them. Our partners at Federal News Network have learned that the agency has sent an email to the roughly 7,000 laid-off probationary employees, offering them the option to return to work by April 14th. Of course, that's just one day before the tax filing deadline. The agency had reinstated them following federal court rulings, but placed them on paid administrative leave instead of putting them back on the job. Those who choose to return will soon get instructions on equipment and workspace assignments.
Well, there was a rare meeting. It happened today at the Education Department, the nation's Education Department, which is being broken apart by the Trump administration. The Secretary of Education met with congressional Democrats who have been highly critical of deep cuts to the Education Department's workforce. WTOP's Mitchell Miller has today on the Hill.
Close to half of the department's more than 4,000 employees have been let go or resigned. And Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin says lawmakers don't want the second Trump administration
to be the moment where all of the progress that we've made in American history towards an equal and excellent education for everybody suddenly goes down the drain.
Raskin says he's pleased that Education Secretary Linda McMahon agreed to meet with Democrats, but lawmakers also indicated frustration over what the end game for the department will be, as McMahon spoke briefly after their meeting.
I will look forward to continuing to work with members of Congress on both sides of the aisle.
When are you going to shut down this building?
Well, we've had our discussion.
On Capitol Hill, Mitchell Miller, WTOP News.
Coming up in Money News here on WTOP.
Changing jobs was not that lucrative last month. I'm Jeff Claiborne.
Traffic and weather in 30 seconds.
75% of cyber attacks involve compromised privileged credentials. Is your federal agency protected? Weak passwords and poor privileged access controls leave your systems exposed, putting national security at risk. Keeper Security is the FedRAMP authorized zero trust privileged access management solution built for protecting sensitive data and infrastructure. Meet federal security standards by securing access to every system, server, and database. Visit keepersecurity.com today.
It's 6:08.
Get a precision AC tune-up for only $59.
Michael and Son. Time for traffic and weather on the 8th. It's time for Dave Dildine. He's in the WTOP Traffic Center.
Lost time on the Beltway. Volume delays on the Inner Loop, Route 7 across the Legion up to River Road. Outer Loop traffic slows near 66 and still packed in between Van Dorn Street and the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Avoiding major mishaps near the big Beltway bridges and really across a good part of the metro area. Under cloudier skies. It's been a little steadier so far this afternoon into this evening, but unfortunately there was a serious crash in Falls Church on Route 29 at Hollywood Road. Police direction continues at the intersection for the investigation. 95, some southbound slowing at the Occoquan. This we expect 7 days a week. In southern Stafford County, southbound on Route 17, a crash at Stafford Lakes Parkway. And initially, southbound traffic on US 17 was stopped. Over in Maryland on Route 50 between New Carrollton and the Bay Bridge, it's smooth sailing. Still congested on the Inner Loop near Chevy Chase and Silver Spring. Had one disabled on a shoulder beyond Connecticut Avenue, but it might be crowding the outside edge of the Inner Loop. 270-95 of the Baltimore-Washington Parkway north of town, just dealing with slow at times traffic. Brought to you by Fitzgerald Auto. Is it a boy? Is it a girl? It's a Kia. Fitzgerald Auto Mall welcomes a new brand of the family with Kia of Annapolis. Discover transparency you can trust with your new Kia at fitzmall.com. Dave Dildine, WTOP Traffic.
Let's go to 7 News First Alert meteorologist Steve Rudin.
Temperatures will hold in the 50s moving through the early evening with just a stray shower or two possible, although many neighborhoods do stay dry. Cloudy skies overnight, mid-40s to lower 50s by early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow it's a warm day, a little bit on the humid side, upper 70s to lower 80s. Wind gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. Moving into the evening and overnight, could see some stronger thunderstorms by Friday morning. Lingering showers. Temperatures around 70 by afternoon. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
We still have clouds. We've got 55 in Gaithersburg, 55 in Arlington. We're brought to you by Long Fence. Save 25% on decks, pavers, and fences. 6 months, no payment, no interest. Conditions apply. Go to longfence.com.
WTOP's Money News at 10 and 40 past the hour. Back we go to Jeff Claiborne.
Tesla deliveries last quarter were down 13% from a year ago, its slowest quarter for sales in 3 years. The Labor Department's March jobs report is Friday. Ahead of that, payroll firm ADP says private employers added 155,000 jobs in March, twice gains in February. Job hoppers saw an average 6.5% boost in annual pay, but those who stayed put saw an average 6.4% increase. Domino's Pizza, long known for its own team of delivery drivers, has signed up for the first time with DoorDash, but the DoorDash orders will still go to Domino's own drivers. Wednesday trading on Wall Street, the Dow closed up 235 points. The S&P 500 up 38. Those were better than 0.5% gains. The Nasdaq finished the day up 151 points today, almost 1%. Jeff Claiborne, WTOP News.
Lido Pizza has a square deal for you. A 14-inch cheese Lido Pizza with an Italian salad for only $17.99. Order online at lidopizza.com.
Still ahead, we check in to see what all the buzz is about in College Park as Buzz Williams has been introduced as the Terps men's new head coach for basketball. It is 6:11.
Have you heard of plantar fasciitis? Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store. Imagine jumping off the back of a pickup truck onto some rocks. That's what it felt like when I was suffering from plantar fasciitis. After searching and trying so many other products, I finally found relief with Good Feet Arch Supports, and they still keep me running today. Now I get to help others who are struggling with plantar fasciitis to live their life pain-free. Here's another customer sharing their Good Feet story.
Plantar fasciitis feels like pointed, sharp pain. It just hurts all the time. It feels like your foot is squeezing on itself. When I drove past the Good Feet store, I thought, I'm just going to stop in. They wanted to make sure that they gave me the right arch support that were personally fitted just for me. Then it was like, okay, this is something special. These make a difference.
The Good Feet store has locations across Greater DC and Baltimore, and now open in Fredericksburg. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today. I'm Jonathan Cotton, and we look forward to seeing you soon at the Good Feet store.
Thank you for making Total Wine & More America's #1 online source for beer and wine. Better than all those delivery apps. Total Wine's prices are up to 30% lower with super fast delivery and no hidden fees. Order direct at TotalWine.com and pay less today.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Offer in-store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Dr. Stork. Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs. With 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way we care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
These days, the world isn't all fun and games, but there is a place on our website for that.
Go to WTOP.com, search top games, and enjoy free crossword puzzles, card games, Sudoku, and more.
WTOP News.
It's 6:15. I'm Sean Anderson.
I'm Ann Kramer. Thanks for being with us.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
After a few days of chaos in the University of Maryland men's basketball program, there's new buzz in College Park today. Buzz Williams has been introduced as the Terps' new head coach after Kevin Willard bolted that team for Villanova. Williams brings some interesting coaching experience to a Maryland program that has yearly expectations of deep March Madness runs.
Well, we talked about Buzz Williams with WTOP's Dave Preston, who, along with his sports anchoring duties, has a vote in the weekly Associated Press Top 25 basketball poll.
Buzz about Buzz Williams. I actually have a semi-tie to him because I was born in Kingsville, Texas. He went to Texas A&M Kingsville, so maybe kindred spirits on some level. This is a coaching lifer, and he has won everywhere he's been. With the exception of his first year at the University of New Orleans. But he won at Marquette, led the Golden Eagles to an Elite Eight appearance in 2013. He led Virginia Tech to a Sweet 16 appearance in 2019. Both of those tournament runs, as fate would have it, ended in Washington at Capital One Arena in the Verizon Center, as it was called at one point. He's been at Texas A&M the last 6 years. He's been a two-time Coach of the Year in the SEC, led them twice to the SEC title tilt, 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances. So this is a guy who has built programs at not the easiest places to win. You look at what the obstacles you face at a Marquette in a Big East at the time that was, probably the best conference in all of college basketball, to the ACC, which has its giants when you're coaching at Virginia Tech, and then trying to coach in the SEC against the likes of Kentucky and other giants. So he's won wherever he's been, and he's going to apply his trade here.
What was his message in today's news conference?
Team. He believes in being a part of the team, whether it's a part of the university team, whether it's being a part of the athletic department team. He feels his team, he mentioned team a lot. I don't know if he was being paid by